All right, so Craig,
No.
best anime of the season. Let's talk about it.
No.
The sooner you rip off the Band-Aid, the less pain you'll be in.
きっと約束だよいつかまた同じ笑顔で
Hello, and welcome to episode 16 of Annie Chatbox. My name is Cassie, and I'm going to be your host for this episode. We are very excited to bring it to you on this lovely weekend. However, before we go and get started, I want to let you know that you can find us at twitter.com/theanniechatbox if you want to follow us there. Ask us any questions. Another great way to ask us questions, anniechatmail@gmail.com. We still haven't gotten any emails, and I'm kind of sad, so I'm going to write us one this week so we can read it next week. And it'll be sad if you make me do this. I'm going to do it.
Right now?
Not right now. We're recording right now.
You're doing this live, people! We're doing this live!
Yeah, suddenly you just in the background, you just hear... And you just know. You just know that Cassie just fucked up the entire outline. She didn't realize she just had it highlighted when she did that button mash.
Lol.
Anyway, so you can write us at anniechatmail@gmail.com. We are also available on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, all that fun stuff if you don't want to listen to us here on YouTube. And we have since gotten a Patreon, which is patreon.com/theanniechatbox if you want to bless us with your monetary offerings to our god or Kami-sama. Best Buy or whoever we want to buy audio equipment from. But yeah, if you do donate to us, we do plan on using any or all funds that we do receive to make this podcast better. So, that being said, my name is Cassie again. I'm going to be your host today, but I am joined by two lovely gentlemen. Why don't you introduce yourselves? Let's start with our person from across the ocean. Good old Sir Joestar.
Hello, everyone. Good to be back again.
Are you sure?
Well, I would think
He doesn't sound convinced.
Yeah, you sound like I'm literally pointing a gun to your head. Yeah, I'm so happy to be here.
But
yes,
I'm not
somebody who
I'm not chained to the chair or anything.
he pleads the
sounds
fifth.
kinky. Anyway, so someone who I know is being forced to be here against his will. Good old Gregory.
My name is Craig, and I like to party. Wait, I used that line before in a different thing. Hey, was I really brought here against my will? It's debatable. What's up, interwebs? How y'all doing this weekend? Do you have any plans? Are you out partying? Hit me up. Want to party?
You sound like an unnecessarily long anime title, which we'll be talking about one of those later today. That being said, we are going to be doing our second... We are going to be doing our second week of impressions today. So we will be talking about 8 more anime, and then we will continue with our reviews next week in addition to any straggler impressions we have. I do want to let you know that this is the format we are going to be taking from henceforth with our seasonal anime. We are going to just announce to you which animes we have and what ones we're watching the day we do the impressions, just to make it a little bit more mysterious, because who doesn't love a little mystery? So that being said, Cami is out this week. She will be back next week to talk about her last impression. But in her place, we have the guy who was conveniently gone last week. So he's going to be talking a lot this episode. Why don't we get you kicked off in that regard, Craig? It looks like you've got our first impression for today.
I have nothing to say about this title at all. I don't have anything to say about my titles. They are there. They are very A-OK.
How about you start with the name of the anime and the synopsis? That's a good start. Have something to say.
What is the name of my anime and my synopses? So the first one on the docket here we got going on is the little title known as Shingeki no Kyojin, aka known as Attack on Titan Season 2.
Never heard of it.
It happened, guys. It took us a couple years, but we got that Season 2. Everyone was claiming for it. Last year, everyone was saying, yo, Cabaneri the Iron Fortress, that ain't no fucking Attack on Titan Season 2. What are you doing, Studio Wit? Why are you creating more shit? We need more Ken doll humanoids eating other humans. So, let's break down the synopsis. We finally got our Season 2 for 12 episodes this fine season. Centuries ago, mankind was slaughtered to near extinction by the mysterious humanoid creatures called Titans, forcing humans to hide in fear behind enormous concretic walls.
You might just want her to read it. I think doing the accent is making you throw off. You actually reading.
What makes these giants truly terrifying is that their taste for human flesh is not born out of hunger, but what appears to be out of pleasure. To ensure their survival, the remnants of humanity began living within the defensive barriers, resulting in 100 years without a single Titan encounter. However, the fragile calm is soon shattered when a colossal Titan manages to breach the supposedly impenetrable outer wall, reigniting the fight for survival against the man-eating abominations. After witnessing a horrible personal loss at the hands of the invading creatures, Eren Yeager dedicates his life to eradication of the Titans by enlisting into the Survey Corps, an elite military unit that combats the merciless humanoids outside the protection of the walls. Based on Hajime Isayama's award-winning manga, Shingeki no Kyojin follows Eren, along with his adoptive sister Mikasa Ackerman and his childhood friend Armin Albert, as they join the brutal war against the Titans and race to discover a way to defeating them once and for all before all the walls are breached. So basically, the why I picked the show. Obviously, everyone and their mother wanted to talk about it, and we needed a point man on this little venture. Does this pass or fail? I say it passes because it just picks up right where the end of season 1 did. Basically, to suffice it to say, crazy shit happens at the end of season 1. There's a revelation, and it just picks up right from there. Within the first 3 episodes, they're essentially... is there breach in the wall, and they're trying to figure out what caused it. They met a Titan that has the ability to speak, and they are rather terrified about that. And they found a castle in the middle of nowhere, which more shenanigans will ensue with that, with more Titans to essentially try and get them. The main cast, as it were, is kind of split, but they're all trying to reconverge on this castle. But that's all I got.
So it swims, then.
Yes, it swims with the fishes.
For something that's swimming, you don't seem all that excited about it. It almost seemed like I was having you take a test in school and you were like, yeah, filled out my Scantron, let's move on.
Yep. It's
are you not that excited about it? Like, why is it passing?
Why is it Ooh, that's a good question. Like I said, I feel as though, well, the way I figure is a combination of good production and okay story. I mean, not for nothing, I don't want to go too deep into like a analysis of the first season, but the first season had some pacing issues, but despite that, I found it enjoyable. The production, the way it's handled, the art direction is really good, and this continues that trend. It looks just as well as the first season, and I want to see where it necessarily ends up. Since it's 12 episodes, I want to see where it actually ends in the plot. It should be noted that I actually have read the manga way in advance, or like way farther in the plot, so I know what's going to go on, but it's still enjoyable to actually see it animated. There are a few animes which I actually like to keep up with. If I read the manga, then obviously sometimes my interest in the anime kind of wavers, but between this and a show that we'll be talking about later on, I actually care to watch this weekly.
Alright, cool.
Yeah.
Alright, well, that was short, sweet, and to the point.
Yeah.
Alright, John, I think you are our next victim. What do you got for us?
So, my first anime of the evening today is ID Zero. And the synopsis goes, Eye machines are the general term for robots that operate in extreme environments. While Alliance Academy student Mikuri Maya is in the middle of operating an eye machine, she gets involved in an incident with pirates and ends up serving as a crew member on an excavation company's spaceship. Very short and sweet to the point.
What else happens in your own kind of brief synopsis? Like, is there anything more in the story other than there are robots? They are here.
They are among us.
Something that this completely skips on is the fact that you don't actually climb inside the robots. You actually transfer your conscience into the robot, and you are therefore you're operating it like it is your body.
So Pacific Rim.
I've never seen Pacific Rim.
It's a good movie.
But they're still inside the robot. They in this, the actual physical body is elsewhere, and actually first Maya's body ends up on an entirely different ship flying away, to the point that she can't actually return her conscious back to her body. She eventually gets her body back and is able to return her conscious back to her body instead of being trapped inside the time machine all the time. But for the entire first episode, near enough, she was stuck inside this giant yellow robot, unable to get out.
Okay, so this show, what is it about? Because at this point, all I understand is that there are girls or guys, or are there children? What are they? Like, just people that pilot robots with their brains? Am I getting this right?
What are they fighting? What is the purpose of the fighting?
What is the purpose? What are they doing?
So there are these asteroids with a rare sort of crystal inside them that gives out this kind of strange energy, and they use the iron machines in order to do mining operations to excavate this material. But of course there's lots of legal grey areas and stuff involved in this, and when things also mining these things is dangerous because of the energies that they kind of put out. They can create these storms that can get kind of dangerous. So how Maya ended up on the pirate ship in the first place was because the crew that she was initially with, at the first sign of trouble, turned tail and ran, leaving Maya behind, and the quote-unquote pirate ship decided to swoop in and take the prize, and also knew about Maya's genius and took her on board to kind of convince her to work for them.
Okay, so wait. So she's a genius. Was she just like...
Well, I'd say she's a genius. They've implied that she's a genius. She's very smart at figuring out geological structures of these different asteroids.
Mining sites, or... Okay, so from what I understand, because I'm completely lost at this point. So there are people who are piloting robots with their minds.
Yes.
To mine asteroids.
Yes.
And while they are in the process of mining an asteroid, whoever her group of pals are that she's doing this with just kind of leave her behind, and then a pirate ship comes in and kidnaps her and steals what they were trying to mine.
Yes.
Okay, I am paying attention.
There you go.
So at this point, this sounds really ridiculous. So is this enjoyable, or
it's actually really enjoyable, and I am not doing any credit to describing what's going on.
All I understand at this point is space pirate robots trying to find treasure, and I'm so lost.
That's not inaccurate, though. It's a very bad description on my part, but that's the only synopsis I can find for the thing.
Okay.
It is animated by Sanzigen, I don't know how to pronounce that, animation studio, with character designs by Ranga Murata, which was something that caught my interest about the series in the first place.
Okay.
I love Ranga Murata's artwork.
Okay.
If you've seen, what is it? The Last Exile or Blue Submarine 6, you have seen some of his character designs before. But yeah. I will admit I kind of picked this one up for very shallow reasons, and They were character designs by Manga Murata, and it's got giant robots in it. And
sounds like a very John show.
It sounds like a very me show, and figured, why not? Let's just give it a try. I can't only watch Gundam all the time. So...
but you can.
When you're not watching Gundam, you're thinking about Gundam.
Yeah, let's be honest here, John. We all understand you're tearing this family apart. But that being said, so we understand why you watched it. We kind of get, and I understand that you are enjoying it. Is this something you want to continue watching? Is this something you think that we should watch with you? I'm getting to the, shall we sing?
I am actually going to swim this one.
Woo!
I am really enjoying it. There is a lot more going on than what I have described, because what I have described is a very, very vague description of everything that happens in episode 1. I haven't even touched on episode 2 or 3.
Okay, well, how about you just give us a very brief run through of what made this show enjoyable after episode 1? Because episode 1 sounds a bit like a clusterfuck, from what little you've said.
Just learning more about the people that have helped them out, their motivations,
their hopes, their dreams,
the bits of mystery that are popping up about who exactly Ida is, who is the main guy of the pirates. He's not the lead. He's not the captain of the ship, but he's, for all intents and purposes, the leader, the one who is most often really... going out. It's just a lot of interesting things going on. Plus, it's all CG, but good CG.
Oh boy.
And Cass Cass was like, I'm out.
We'll see. I mean, I like Dodging, and it's all CG.
That is a great show.
I will say, I am very about CG, but we'll see what happens. I mean, we'll go on pirate adventures on rocks in space. We'll see what happens. That's what I'm going to title this. This isn't ID 0 anymore. It's Pirate Adventures on Asteroids in Outer Space. Which by itself sounds interesting. So I guess we'll see where this goes.
There's
that being said,
a giant robot-sized space motorcycle that they ride on.
If it's not a horse, I don't care.
All right.
If it's not a gigantic robot space horse, you can't trump the giant robot space horse.
No,
don't even try.
I'm not trying to.
Yet? Have you watched G?
Of course not.
G-Fighter?
Of course not. I ain't got time for that. I've been buried to my waist in waifus and Euro manga sensei and battle fairies. That's what I've been doing.
Battle fairies?
I'll get to that later in this episode.
Okay.
That being said, hey Craig, did you miss us? Because it's your turn again.
5, by the way. Also, yes.
5?
Huh?
What does 5 mean? You just randomly said...
Don't worry about it. I'll tell you after the studio audience. Hello! It's me once more, coming to you live from the Hipsterville, United States.
That hasn't changed since the beginning of the episode.
Nope, it has. I left the building and I've returned once more to talk to you about my love of my life. What people give me shit for. The Naruto property as a whole. As we all know, Kishimoto has created what was one of the major pillars of Shonen Jump. So, naturally, they gotta milk that franchise. Studio Period and Shonen Jump have to milk it for all it's worth. You gotta keep kicking it unless it gets really bad in polls. So, Kishimoto came and went. He did his series. It wrapped up in November 2014. And then they decided to create a spin-off / sequel set in the future about his son Boruto Naruto Next Generations. So this has a manga which, from what I gather, has been publishing since I believe 2016, and it's got based on the Narutopedia, it's got like about 10 chapters out. It's published here and in there through Shonen Jump, but it got an anime, right? This season. So let me break down the synopsis again, Studio Pierrot. They've done the other Naruto properties, so that's no surprise there. The life of the shinobi is beginning to change. Boruto Uzumaki, son of the 7th Hokage Naruto Uzumaki, has enrolled in the Ninja Academy to learn the ways of the ninja. Now, as a series of mysterious events unfolds, Boruto's story is about to begin! Okay, so here's my opinion of it. As a Naruto fan, I'm sadly gonna say, unless you are diehard into it, and if you are willing to stick through all of Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, I feel as though this is kind of lackluster, and I don't think it's necessary to watch. I've talked about this off podcast among some of my friends, and even Cass over there, where it's hard to really wrap your mind around or whether or not a show should sink or swim after 3 episodes of a shonen show with no slated episode count. Reason being is because since the synopsis obviously says that this kid is in the Ninja Academy, it's the misadventures of him in the academy. The promo art shows him and his eventual team for Team Konohamaru, him, Sarada, and Mitsuki, but within the 3 episodes, we have not met anyone that would actually imply that he's going to graduate anytime soon. However, Cass has also mentioned that was the same with Naruto. It took at least 15 to 20 episodes for him to get out of the academy and do the Zabuza arc. But based on the first 3 episodes, I cannot recommend it, but I will add with the caveat that if you really want to see where it goes, you can watch it, but based on the 3 episode value, he doesn't really do all too much. He kind of just hangs out with his friends. Episode 3 was the most enjoyable in my opinion because that's the episode which he interacted with the next generation of all the major characters from Shippuden. Shikamaru's kid. Metal Lee, which is Rock Lee's supposed son. Metal, by the way. Cool name. Hardcore name. And
Metal Lee.
Metal Lee, yeah. And basically how they all interact and whatnot, and how Shikadai learns that he's got to be... What's the word here? He's got to have empathy and to be a friend, essentially. And how
I'm
Boruto...
assuming Shikadai is another one of the children.
Yeah, Shikadai is Shikamaru's kid.
Yeah, you're not giving context, fam.
No.
We don't all know these names.
Okay, fair. Either way, that was the most enjoyable episode, but the first 2, I felt, were kind of padded out, as it were. There is a flash-forward sequence in the first 5 minutes of the episode, which shows him in hardcore attire. He's got a scar, he's got a sword, and he's got like crazy powers, which obviously will probably come 50 to 100 episodes later, but I don't know if I'm willing to wait for this. In fact, I put this thing on hold, and I would probably get back to it in spurts. I probably wouldn't want to wait weekly on that.
Okay. Yeah. So that being said, I'm assuming it's sinking.
Yep.
Now here's the question: what is it sinking into? This is important. We gotta know. Last week we dumped Frame Arms Girl into a unicorn frappuccino.
Those are good though.
Well, yeah, that's the reason why we did that, because John actually really liked the show, but he just doesn't feel like critically standing in that we would all also have to watch it and probably wouldn't get much enjoyment out of it. So he liked it and thought it was good, but also realizes it's not for everyone, like the unicorn frap.
Let's continue the Starbucks cup coffees. It's gonna sink into Java Chip Frappuccino.
Oh, okay. So do you think it's good, but just...
Yeah, it's very middle of the road, and again, if you're really hungry for more Naruto and you're thirsty for more, it's very okay, but I would obviously recommend the Boruto movie way before this anime.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I haven't watched Boruto Next Generation, but even I enjoyed the Boruto movie in a very turn your brain off, go watch kind of sense.
Well, it's also there's I don't know how to really compare. You can't really you can't compare the two, because at least with Boruto, it was a concise story written by Kishimoto, so it had like a bit to like had a starting point and then an ending point, whereas this, I don't really know where it's gonna go. Again, the flaw of the shonen with no episode count. You don't know where it's gonna go, or if it will get fucking amazing, or if it will turn into a dumpster fire.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that being said, I'll let you boys take a rest, and I'm going to talk about my first of my last impressions. I've got 2 today. We're going to go to our first one. All right, which is Sakurada Reset. Nearly half the population of Sakurada, a small town near the Pacific Ocean, has some sort of unique power. The powers range from being able to enter the mind of a cat to resetting the world back to a certain point in time in the past. There's a group known as the Kanrikyoku, which I'm just going to call the Bureau at this point, that controls and monitors the use of these powers. Asai Kei and Haruki Misora work for their school's club called Hoshi Club, which executes any missions received from the Bureau. Misora has the ability to reset the world back 3 days. This means that all the events and any memory of the past 3 days that could have happened never did. Kei has the ability to remember the past. Even after Misora uses her powers to reset the world back 3 days, Kei will retain those 3 days in his memory. Combining their powers, these two solve missions issued by the Bureau. So, this sounds really interesting, right? It sounds kind of cool. Superpowers. People trying to solve mysteries and complete missions using their cool time travel powers and working together as a team.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the bus.
The show is so fucking boring.
Oh.
Yep, there it is.
It is so boring. And before I forget to give them any credit, this is animated by David Production, which, by the way, it is pretty. The show is pretty, and I'll give it that, but the pacing is just so bad. And the worst part about this is, for a second I want to go ahead and talk about other shows. When you have characters in a show, any show, think of any show in your head right this minute, both listeners and you two here. If there is a character in a show that you dislike, 9 times out of 10, the people that they interact with will have different personalities, which makes it more easier to... or I guess not more easier, that's not a word. It makes it easier to tolerate them because they're interacting with other people who you might enjoy more.
Okay.
Everyone in this anime is boring. It's like they don't have emotion. The main problem is that the main girl, Misora, Haruki Misora, she basically had so much emotion when she was younger, and she was so sad about how sad the world is that she just ceased feeling anything at all.
That's hardcore.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
But, and that's one of the few parts of the show that I found interesting. But the problem is that normally with characters like her, you would have somebody else to, like, help her become, gain those emotions back. Which really is what you seem to think the show is going to be about. Except for the main character, Kei, who interacts with her, is just as broken and emotionless as she is. So, you only have one other character in this show that made it tolerable, who is the third member of this little group, because you have 3 people in this group at the beginning. Because from the synopsis, you think you'd automatically just jump right in and know exactly, like, what they're doing and how they're doing missions to the Bureau. The first 2 episodes are basically building up to why they are under watch by the Bureau in the first place. Which any other show may have been fine, but seeing these 2 interact with each other is boring.
Yeesh.
So basically the only character who made this show, bearable is no longer there at the end of episode 2, for whatever reason. And when that person disappears, the show becomes very and all you have is these 2 basically emotionless characters. Like, they'll have dialogue between each other. Like, they're in the most recent episode I watched, I think it was episode 3, they had a conversation about what she wanted to wear because it's implied that for some reason she has feelings for him now, I guess. And she makes an obvious comment about, I want to go and buy cute clothes. And he's just like, yeah, okay. And she's like, but whatever I wear, you say I look good in it. And he's like, because you do. And she's like, well, what clothes do you prefer? And he's like, well, I like plaid miniskirts. And she's like, but if I wore one, you wouldn't like it. And he's like, yeah, doesn't suit you. And I'm like, why is this conversation happening? What is the point?
I don't get what.
And the reason why the character disappeared in episode 2, the character I actually kind of liked, the reason that she disappeared is very annoying. Because her disappearance basically is the result of the main character making a very stupid mistake to prove a point that didn't need to be proven. And I'm kind of going over at this point, so I'm just going to go ahead and describe one other thing that kind of bothered me about this show. I really like that they can work together to use their powers, and that she can go back in 3 days, but she can't remember when she does it. So if she resets, she doesn't remember that she reset to 3 days ago, but he can remember that. So they work together. Obviously, he'll let her know, or they find another person who has the power to basically, show that he's telling the truth. And they're able to use those powers together to, solve problems. And I thought that was a really interesting thing. Other problem. Girl has so many things. And I guess this is a good thing, but also a bad thing. But she has so many things limiting her power. Like, she has to save. She has to say, I'm saving here. And that's the part that she can basically jump back to, but she can only save at specific times a day, and she can only save if she's already jumped back or something, and she can only jump back in time 3 days once. There's just so many rules to her power set that I don't even understand now. I might be making them up. I don't know. And the problem is that the show just assumes you understand this, and they utilize it constantly. So I can't remember when she saves or when she resets, and maybe I'm just stupid. But the only other part of this that I don't like is that she only at this point will use her power if main character guy says to use it. So it's just like he's in control of everything, and I don't know. It just bothers me. And on top of it, it's boring. So yeah, it sinks.
Bye, boring ass TV show. Bye.
And the thing that sucks is I was really looking forward to this one.
It did sound really interesting, and I had hopes for it, but
I mean, I now that I've already sank it, I'm just gonna say this. Episode 3 left off on it wasn't the show that made me interested, it was the preview for the next episode. And I was like, holy shit, is something gonna actually happen? And then I went and watched episode 4 and was like, nope.
Boring. No.
I was like, this is stupid. This is so stupid. But anyway, that being said, I don't recommend this show. You can go and give it a look. It's really pretty. And if you tend to follow massively large amounts of rule sets and find extremely boring characters interacting with extremely boring characters to be fun, then sure, go ahead. But for now, it's just, I couldn't do it. The story was just eh. It tackled some very interesting issues, such as her losing her emotions after basically being overexposed to that sadness for so long. And it really likes to hammer home that different people experience things in different ways. And it has a lot of really cool ideas. It's just the execution is bland and awful.
Fair enough.
All right. So I'm going to sink this into not a Starbucks coffee, because I don't think it deserves to be in that classy of an establishment. So I'm just going to drop it in, like, I don't know, a McFlurry from McDonald's or something.
I could go for one of those.
Something that looks kind of pretty and in principle is great, but it's still really bad for you if you have it too much. It's also McDonald's, so your standards are low to begin with. Okay, so I talked longer than I meant to about that one. Let's move on to our next one, which means we're going back to Craig because he has 4 things to talk about.
Damn.
What's your third one?
Third one. Hello, everyone. Third anime that I got going on here is a little show that actually the first season. Shoutouts to Mink, Oliver friend here, Pete from Save Our Progress. He recommended this to me. A show called Saekano, How to Raise a Boring Girlfriend, otherwise known in the Japanese Senai Heroine no Sodatekata.
Sodatekata.
Okay.
Sodatekata. There you go. I got you, fam.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Obviously, animated by A1 Pictures Studio, so it's going to be pretty. Obviously. Okay. Let's break this down here. The synopsis reads as such. Tomoya Aki, an otaku, has been obsessed with collecting anime and light novels for years, attaching himself to various series with captivating stories and characters. Now he wants to have the chance of providing the same experience for others by creating his own game. But unfortunately, Tomoya can't do this task by himself. He successfully recruits childhood friend Eriri Spencer Sawamura to illustrate, and literally elitist Utaha Kasumigawa to write the script for his visual novel. While he directs. Supergroup now in hand, Tomoya only needs an inspiration to base his project on, and luckily, he meets the most beautiful, docile Megumi Kato, who he then models his main character after. Using what knowledge he has, Tomoya creates a new doujin circle which hopes to touch the hearts of those who play their game. What he does not realize is that to invoke these emotions, the creators have had to experience the same feelings in their own lives. Find out next time in the next exciting episode of Saekano, How to Raise a Boring Girlfriend. So, I admittedly marathoned all of this, the first 3 episodes of this season 2, just today. It continues the trend for season 1. Basically, Tomoya Aki assembles his elite tag team of experts, all female, mind you. The thing that really stands out about this show is the camaraderie that actually ensues about it, and it kinda is like a harem, but at the same time, the guy doesn't really give a shit about romance in any sort of way. Obviously, you got Utaha and Eriri, who kind of, like, are vying for his attention, but again, he wants to kind of just get the point across that he wants to make a game rather than focus on romance and all that sort of stuff. The way the show is shot obviously kind of would turn some people off a little bit. I will say that right now, and that's why I say I don't know if Cass might really like it, because there are a lot of shots of thigh highs and whatnot for whatever reason.
I mean, it's fine. Okay, so as we said, I'm just going to we had an entire episode about
Butts.
Fan service and butts, and that I am okay if it's done tastefully and is just done there every once in a while. But if the entire show relies on fan service to carry its story,
no, it doesn't.
Then I just get annoyed.
Yeah.
Please see our previous episode for more that I have to say about fan service.
Mm-hmm. So obviously this passes. It continues to trend. The first 3 episodes. So I'm assuming everyone who gives a crap can listen to this about my impressions. Season 1 is okay. He assembled the crack team, and they're starting to develop their game. Within the first 3 episodes of this, they get the script of the game developed, and Utaha comes up with a revised alternate script. The first episode focused on how Utaha and Eriri met, how they shared their passion in being an illustrator, because Eriri does illustrations for doujinshi, ero manga, and whatnot, and while Utaha is a light novelist, and how they actually come and admire each other for their passion and are captivated by their passion. The next 2 episodes obviously focus on the fact that there are other doujin circles out there, and they go to, like, Kamaket, and they're trying to essentially create a game that can be serviceable as a challenge to the other team. So, again, this show passes in my opinion. I am honestly looking forward to your guys' impressions. I think it is a pleasant surprise.
Good. Okay, so...
Yep.
No more drowning and beautiful, yummy beverages. Got it.
Yep.
Or ice cream. Yeah, I'm kind of interested in this one. It does look interesting, especially because I love light novels, visual novels, and I think that's what the whole point is they're trying to make one, or, like, make a game that's similar to one. So it'll be interesting to see how they explore, like, how a visual novel is made and the different stuff that goes into it. And honestly, that might appeal to Cammy, too, because I know that she loved Shirobako, but I don't know if they're going to be in the same vein.
Right, and it should be said that, like, me and Pete both like Kato, the girl that's been modeled after. She's very, she's docile and kind of, like, not really loud and expressive, but whatever she says has, like, emphasis, and she is actually able to get the point across. She's kind of, blunt when she talks, so it's this harem that is kind of, like, not a harem, But you can obviously see the fact that it is kind of one. It's kind of trying to throw a twist on the whole take on it.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, cool beans.
It does sound really interesting. I'm really interested in watching it, so...
Yeah, it does sound quite interesting. All right, John. So speaking of interesting, let's talk about them boob ribbons.
Are boob ribbons back in full force?
Are there no... you don't actually... Is there less boob ribbon?
There is less boob ribbon in this one.
In season 2 of...
Dungeon ni Deai wo Motomeru no wa Machigatteiru Darou ka Gaiden Sword Oratoria. So it's even longer a title now because it's not actually a season 2.
It's a spin-off, right?
It is actually a spin-off.
Oh.
So I'm just going to call
That would
it...
explain why I couldn't find it on my anime list.
Yeah. So I'm going to just refer to it as Sword Oratoria? Oratoria.
You mean Sword Art Online, the ripoff, the spinoff?
Anyway, so with the synopsis. Sword Princess Ais Wallenstein. Today, once again, the strongest female swordsman heads to the giant labyrinth known as the Dungeon, along with her allies. On the 50th floor, where mysteries and threats such as the decayed dragon's corpse that crumbles to ash and an irregularity that creeps ever closer to the party loom. Ais calls for the wind and heads deeper into the darkness of the dungeon. Eventually, she finds herself meeting a boy for the first time. Are you okay? In the labyrinth city of Orario, the contrasting stories of the boy and the girl intersect. Is a side story of Dungeon ni Deai wo Motomeru no wa Machigatteiru Daroka, or Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? It covers the story of the strongest first-class adventurer, Ais Wallenstein, the Sword Princess, and her desire to reach even greater heights with her friends in the Loki Familiar. So, yeah, it is set during the exact same time as first series, much in like how when with a certain magical index and a certain scientific railgun ended up running alongside each other at the same time period.
Mm-hmm. In the same city and stuff.
In the same city, you get to see certain events happen again, but from a different perspective. Like Ais and Belle's first encounter inside the dungeon, only this time you see it from Ais' perspective as she was chasing after the Minotaur that cornered him in the first place. Also, it is animated by JC Staff, which I believe also did the first series.
They may have.
Pretty sure they did.
I do know that.
I know check.
That's all right. I know that JC Staff does do a lot of really cool shows. They have very good quality stuff most of the time. In the meantime, I'll go and look up if they did season 1. You keep talking.
But yeah, so it mostly focuses on Ais and Lefia and other members of the Loki Familiar as opposed to Belle and Hestia. Though Belle and Hestia do appear at some point pretty much during every episode to just firmly confirm, hey, remember when this happened in the first series? Hey, you got it from this point of view instead. So
okay, yeah, JC Staff did do Is It Wrong to Try and Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon?
Also, there was a slightly amusing moment between Ais and Lefia where Lefia decided to take Ais clothes shopping along with 2 of the other girls from the Loki Familiar, and Ais was trying on different outfits, and one of them that she tried on was Hestia's outfit, and Lefia was like, definitely no. Not wearing that. But yeah, it's fun.
Is it good?
It's fun. It's good. It's more of, if you enjoyed the first series, you will enjoy this. Unless you really didn't like Ais for some reason. I actually quite like Eyes, so...
Is it required to watch the first season or the OG series in order to get this one done?
It would help.
Okay.
It
I would
certainly would help,
assume.
because although in theory it would stand alone...
It's kind of like you should watch Index before you watch Railgun, just because you need to know
Yeah.
about the interactions between Misaka
and
what's his
Tomoyo.
name?
Tomoya?
No, I don't think Tomoya is his name. Toji? You see, this is how much of an impression Index left on me.
Lol.
But
Toma.
yeah, so
Toma.
Toma.
Yep, Toma.
I was. It started with a T.
We're in the ballpark, huh?
Yeah, but yeah, it's better to watch Index before you watch Railgun. So I guess this would be in the same vein.
Even though in that case Railgun actually starts before Index, it's still best you watch Index first.
Well, yeah, because you do interact Toma in Railgun, and you won't understand her interactions with him unless you've already watched Index.
So yeah, it's much in the same vein in that you could, in theory, watch it on its own, but you'll have all of these moments going on in the background that they're nodding to say, look, this is happening at the same time as this, and you're like, what? If you haven't watched it, you'll be like, why is this relevant? So, yeah, I do recommend going back and watching the first series first.
It gives context to the world.
Because it gives context to the world, and this is kind of just fleshing out the world that we already know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that side of it. And it's not just, oh, you're watching all the same thing all over again, because there are these other new mysteries that we're discovering that the Loku Familia are dealing with that was completely unbeknownst to Belle and Hestia in the original series. So it's more of the same, but also new, if that makes sense.
It does. So, pass, fail, sink, swim?
I am going to swim
right.
this because I really enjoyed it, and I think too many people passed it off as it's just Sword Art Online, but with more fan service, which...
Is it, though?
Not
From what little
entirely,
I saw of it, that's how I felt, but...
Not entirely
I'm not gonna...
untrue, but there's a lot more to it than just that.
I was about to say, as somebody who watched this show, I'm gonna say that opinion is pretty valid.
It is pretty valid, but it's not... There's more to it than just that.
Well, I guess we'll find out whether we like it or not. Alright, so... Craig.
No.
Best anime of the season, let's talk about it.
No.
The sooner you rip off the Band-Aid, the less pain you'll be in.
Renai Boukun, a.k.a. Love Tyrant, a.k.a. Love Garbage. Studio EMT Squared has done jack shit, by the way. Nothing that I recognize and or have seen. Let's break down the synopsis, shall we? The Kiss Note is a powerful notebook that makes anyone who has their name written together will instantly fall in love if they kiss each other, regardless of any circumstances. This magical and very familiar item belongs to an angel named Guri, who has a job as Cupid to create couples. However, she accidentally writes down I know Seiji, a regular high school student, and unless he kisses someone, Guri will die. She convinces Seiji to go kiss his crush, Hiyama Akane, the school's popular girl, who turns out has an even stronger feelings for him, bordering on obsessive and psychotic. Eventually, Akane and Seiji come together, but not before Guri decides that she likes Seiji as well. What seems awesome to most guys becomes hell for Seiji, who just wants a normal relationship with girls. Oh boy. This show.
Okay, so Craig,
Hi.
tell us how you really feel.
This show fails. I'm tolerant with shows. I admittedly chose this show because I thought the premise was quirky and fun and really out there. Because, you take a dumb spoof on Death Note with the Kiss Note and, it's a dumb comedy. And I will preface this by saying, this show's not for me. It does not pass for me. It sinks rather. But there are probably people out there that would enjoy this. I don't know who you are, but more power to you. You like what you like. Good on you. This show, admittedly, within the first half of the first episode, made me laugh. I thought that the fact that the red-headed girl was this fucking yandere that tried to kill the main character because he was with another woman was random. Went out, and really out there. But the chaos of it all just kind of spiraled out of control when you get everyone wants to bang the main character. Now, we talked about harems in my last impression. This is a harem with on crack cocaine, because the synopsis said, Guri wants to be in with this guy. Yandere, I'm just gonna call them nicknames. So Yandere wants to be with this guy. Trash Cupid wants to be with this guy. Then we get introduced to the Imoto, who wants to be with her older sister, which turns out to be Yandere. Also winds up in the relationship with the guy because Guri writes all of their names. Guri X main character, X Yandere, X Imoto, and then things. So they're all in a polygamous relationship and they're all together. It just kind of spiraled out of control. I watched the last 2 episodes literally today, and it continues to go even further. Second episode, and this is why Pete dropped it, and I can see why. The second episode, Guri and Yuzu, the Imoto, try to set up a service to hook people up together, the students in the school together. And they discovered that one of the teachers and the student council president like each other, and they try to set them up. But they're like, oh, I'll wait until you graduate. That way we can be together. And I'm like, huh? In episode 3, you discover that main guy has an Imoto too, and she likes him too. What? No.
So, I'm not a slut, I just love love?
That's Guri. She's not a slut, but she wants to know what the concept of love is. But again, she's a trash angel, so she just kind of writes names down all willy-nilly, boy X boy, girl X girl, guy X girl. Her supervisor is a dog with a human face. I don't know why that is. But the thing is...
Who decided that she was,
garbage?
No, not garbage. Who decided that she was,
qualified?
I don't know, qualified to be... a Cupid in this particular world? Is there a reason? Do they ever explain that?
No, they don't. The only thing that we got out of Guri's personality is the fact that she likes cosplay. So initially, when she approached our protag, Seiji, she was dressed up like the Grim Reaper. She had a scythe and everything like that, and he ignored her, claiming that she was crazy. But the thing is, and the thing that the synopsis does not really specify, is the fact that if she writes a name down, she will, and if they don't do anything, they will die. So she wrote his name down without someone's name attached to it. She has 24 hours before she dies, supposedly. So now that, at the end of episode 1, the polygamy happens, and all of them have
Wait, so does everybody kiss everybody by the end of episode 1?
Yes.
Oh, damn.
And then, but they don't kiss everyone. Not everyone kisses everyone. Everyone kisses the main guy. But, see, here's the thing. Because now that they're all in the note associated with her, they all become Cupids by proxy. And if they all don't do their job, Dog Manface says, if you don't help...
Wait.
What?
Wait.
What?
Okay, so she writes down people's names
Yep.
so she can play Cupid for them and they can get together.
Yep.
And if they get together,
Yep.
then they become Cupid.
No, it's when she writes, so Guri X Yandere or Guri X Protag.
Wait a minute. I thought you said that they all kissed him.
Yes, they did.
They didn't all kiss her.
No,
Because theoretically, this anime's dumb.
This anime is very dumb. Now let me explain the weird thing in the fact that now that they're all in a polygamous relationship, they have to help Trash Angel or Trash Cupid by assisting her in her matchmaking duties. Otherwise, all of their spirits go to hell and they die within 24 hours.
Sounds dumb.
Let's cover the fact that it hasn't happened since
Also,
episode 1, but let me just end off by saying Guri has a henshin sequence, which reveals the fact that she's an angel instead of a cosplayer. But man, that henshin sequence likes to focus on that camel toe.
I'm gonna go look this up later.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, well, I guess what are we sinking this into before we move on to our last impression for the day?
Let's just sink it into hell with the terrifying dog man.
Okay. Jeez, we went from Starbucks to McDonald's to just literal hell.
Well, you gotta the quality of the establishments obviously degrade over time here. So
I wonder what kind of drinks they serve in hell. All right.
Again,
well,
I preface this by saying comedy is subjective. What I think would be dumb, some people might actually laugh at or think that I'm dumb. Hell, I like Talladega Nights and Cass thinks it's hot garbage. I love Anchorman, but I don't think Cass likes that either.
We're not talking about movies and comedies in the real, like, because how I look at anime and how I look at Hollywood films are two different things.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Well, I'm just saying
what kind of comedy I want from anime and what kind of comedy I want from something like that is completely different.
Either way,
but yeah, again, comedy is subjective, but the whole reason we have these impressions is what you think and what you think as us as a collective group may enjoy to talk about. And if you think us as a bunch of varied anime fans would think that this is garbage and you should sink it, then you made a good decision. I don't know why you're second guessing yourself.
I'm not second guessing myself. I just want to preface the fact that maybe the audience may like this, possibly, maybe. If you are, shout out to you and let us know and via email that you actually loved it.
Tell us how our garbage our taste is.
Yep.
But anyway, moving on to my garbage taste. So, last thing we're going to talk about today is Shuumatsu Nani Shitemasu ka? Isogashii desu ka? Sukutte Moratte Ii desu ka? Or also known as WorldEnd, which is what I'm going to refer to it as. But WorldEnd, what are you doing at the end of the world? Are you busy? Will you save us? So basically,
Lord.
The reason why I chose this wasn't its freakishly long title. I chose it because of the synopsis and it sounding interesting. So we're going to jump right into that. 500 years have passed since the humans went extinct at the hands of the fearsome and mysterious beasts. The surviving races now make their homes up on floating islands in the sky, out of reach of all but the most mobile of beasts. Only a small group of young girls, the leprechauns, can wield the ancient weapons needed to fend off invasions from these creatures. Into the girls' unstable and fleeting lives, where a call to a certain death could come at any moment, enters an unlikely character, a young man who lost everything in his final battle 500 years ago, the last living human awakened from a long, icy slumber. Unable to fight any longer, Willem becomes the father the girls never had, caring for them and nurturing them, even as he struggles to come to terms with his new life, in which he feels the pain of helplessly waiting for his loved ones to return home from battle that his daughter once felt for him so long ago. Together, Willem and the girls gradually come to understand what family means and what truly is worth protecting. Okay. I have been so back and forth on this show, because the reason I wanted to watch it is there. He does become a father figure to most of these girls, especially the young children. And the young children in this show act like children. The leprechauns, they're called leprechauns, but they're kind of like fairies. They have wings, they look like fairies, and they have control over what's called the fairy gate. So from now on, I'm just going to call them fairies instead of leprechauns, because that just sounds weird to me. The little girls are fairies, and the way he interacts with these little girls is very much so as somebody who cares about them. It's not like one of those tee-hee little girls pseudo-pedophilia that we see in so much, anime. There is some eye roll moments, and those actually are really annoying. And there is the typical, oh no, you are touching me inappropriately, or awkward licks on the face and stuff like that. But I'll get to that later. But I can almost look past those because the way he interacts with all of these girls is actually in a way that you don't see from a lot of male protagonists. He's not even indifferent to it. There's one particular scene where a girl asks him if, she could kiss him. And he's just like, no. Like, just no. And whenever he goes after or makes a move, quote unquote, one of these girls makes a move on him, if at all, he's always very indifferent to it or understands that he is an adult here and they are children. He needs to teach them as such or treat them as such. Now, here's where the interesting thing comes in. The fairies can fight, and it doesn't talk about this in the synopsis very well, but they can fight because they resemble humans. Humans at this point are extinct, except for Willem. Mm-hmm. Humans are the reason why these guardians that destroyed and wiped out all of humanity even exist in the first place. So, because fairies look and act so much like humans, they're able to wield weapons that humans could. Problem is that they aren't strong enough at this point to actually fight off the beasts. They can just kind of, make them go away. But when it gets to the point where one of the beasts is going to reach these islands in the sky that everybody lives on, the fairies have to make the choice to open up their fairy gate and essentially self-destruct and take the guardian with them. So there's this whole, is my life worth giving up for the safety of everybody else? Mm-hmm. And that's really what the first couple of episodes deal with. You meet the main character girl, whose name I am spacing on at the moment. Cathalas? They have weird names. I thought she sounded like Cthulhu. But she's basically the main interest and I guess kind of the main love interest. And she's basically wrestling with whether she wants to die or not. Because it's come to the point where in a couple of days, one of the beasts is going to reach the island and wipe out not only probably her, but Willem and all of these little girls that she assists him in taking care of. Mm-hmm. And Willem essentially goes up to her and says, you don't have to die. You can approach this another way. And one of the things that I found interesting about this is in any other battle show or whatever, the character typically at that point would say, oh my god, teach me this new way. Teach me how I don't have to die. Which you would think is the logical way to go about it. But her response essentially is, no, this has to be the only way, or all the people I've loved before now that have sacrificed their lives did it for no reason. Which is interesting. Mm. And way more interesting than Sakurada Reset will ever be. So, the only other main problem I have with this show is there are minor moments of fan service that make me feel a little weird. I also am kind of because the whole little girls can save the world has been done so many times before.
Wasn't that a show with like
Black Bullet?
That was it.
There's been a lot of shows that try to utilize this, especially with little girls with special powers that need protecting. But even that show I dropped after a while because it just didn't interest me, and that's why I'm worried about this one. Also, the animation is not that great.
Oh.
It has its moments. But there are also moments that I'm just, like there's, like, when he's trying to teach her how to fight, there's a fight scene that is just so badly choreographed.
Who's the studio again?
So, Satelight and C2C. It's a group.
I've never heard of either of those.
I have not either, and that's why I was about to make the point that I can almost forgive them because I can't find anything else they've done. So, if this is a breakout anime for them, they're not doing bad. Mm-hmm. So, fuck it. I'm gonna swim it.
Okay.
And I'm going to make John watch it with me. He's been nominated. and not... Well, I want John to watch... I mean, you guys can watch it with me too, but the fact that I'm passing this and I'm very on the edge with it, I'm not going to be like, Cammy, Craig, you must watch this too. Of course, if you have interest, do it. Mm-hmm. But I feel like this is something that is totally up John's alley, and if he doesn't like it, I'll know I made a bad decision. Mm. It's Battle Fairies. That has John written all over it.
Okay.
John, Battle Fairies, huh? Is that what you like the Battle Fairies?
I have to admit, it does sound appealing, though.
He passed a show earlier in this episode that literally all he could say about it was pirates in space on asteroids that they pilot, and they pilot robots with their minds. That's the kind of stuff John likes. He will like this show. I think... But I also kind of want to see how he feels about the drama and how they're doing it in here, because I think it's shaky at best, but I think it has potential. And to be fair, if it weren't for the fact that I had already passed Alice to Zodoku, I wouldn't have been so on the edge about this one. But given the fact we've failed so many other shows this season, I don't feel that bad about passing it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially just because I feel like this could be an interesting experience with John specifically.
Mm-hmm.
But it might be something that, maybe you and Cammie could look at as well, and it might appeal to you. I'm just not sure. We'll find out. Stay tuned. That being said, unless anybody has anything else to say, I think that's basically all we got for today.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm good.
I'm good too. I can't think of anything else.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us today and listening to us ramble about battle fairies and space pirates and death notes that are love notes and all this other crazy stuff. At this point, this episode was a little more varied than the last one, at least.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, the last episode, we ended up doing like 2 rounds that were pretty much...
Pass.
Oh,
we were giving out swim awards like they were participation awards. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But this is a good season. I will put that out there. And the things that we're on the fence about, we're not on the fence about because they're bad shows. We're on the fence because it's just like, it's not bad, but is it really good compared to everything else that's airing this season? But it'll be a fun conversation for us to all have.
Last episode, the only thing that I sunk it, and I also admit that I actually love the series. It's just not going to be for everyone, and the wider audience probably won't enjoy it anywhere near as much as I am, because I'm enjoying it for particular reasons that appeal to me. And it was me recognizing that, and they're saying like, it's a good series, but just kind of So, but yeah.
Another reason why I wanted to pass WorldEnd, I'm going to put this out there, or let it swim into the open sea, as it were, is that we've got shows like Boku no Hero Academia this season. We've got shows like Attack on Titan, even to an extent Boruto. We've got all of these powerhouse shows that everybody expects so much out of. And you've got things like WorldEnd, which I feel like are really going under the radar. I don't see people talking a lot about it. So I want to give it the little bit of recognition it deserves by trying to do something, even though it's not something all that different. And we'll see how it goes. Maybe it'll be a dumpster fire. We'll find out. But that being said, thank you both for being here today. Next week, we will be wrapping up our impressions. And just for you guys, we'll also be doing a review next week. So stay tuned, and we will see you then. Oyasumi nasai!
Bye-bye!